Okay, this video is going to be on a Palomar VC100. Let's see here. It's one of those noise toy boxes. Don't know why people are so fascinated with them, but whatever floats your boat. If you're into noises, hey, this is the critter for you. I'm into clean, clear audio, but like I say, if you're into these, yeah, I guess they're nice little boxes. But yeah, these things, honestly, I can get it cracked open. They're kind of, I don't want to say crap, but, they've got some good, decent parts in them. But, yeah, the build quality on these things, yeah, not that great. This is like, probably early 80s vintage Japanese quality for cheap stuff. Now, like I say, the Japanese made good stuff, but it's also they made some crap. And actually, I'm not even sure what the hell country this thing. Yeah, it was made in Japan. There it is on the back. So, just kind of know from working on this type of stuff, the quality. This was, monitor radio off there. Kind of the cheap quality of the day. They also made extremely high-end stuff. They're, I work on a lot of stereo equipment from the 80s, and yeah, that was good high-end stuff. But yeah, not so much. In any case, in the process of recapping it, I've got some of them. You can see the, kind of got all the little bug legs sticking out the bottom there, but they're a bit of a pain in the neck to work on, just the way they get the light repositioned here. Getting into these things is a bit of a challenge, because you can see how everything's really crammed in here. I've already got some of the caps replaced down in here, but yeah, all these other ones, and I still have more. You see some of the green. Here's some of the ones that I've replaced so far. And when I say crap build quality, here's a perfect example. Now, you can see there's a pair of pliers sitting here. What I do is desolder it with a desoldering gun on the solder side, and then radios, a lot of times you can just grab the capacitor and pull them out. But when you're working on stuff like this, you got to get down inside with a pair of needle nose pliers to get down in there to pull them out. So I use a pair of needle nose pliers usually to get down in there. I did not crush this capacitor. I pulled this capacitor out. This is exactly what it looked like. Notice it's smashed flat on the bottom, not the top. What in the hell? Yeah, now what the hell kind of quality control was that to allow a capacitor smashed flat like that installed? That's just, man, that's ridiculous. I had to laugh when I saw that. I pulled that thing out and I was like, what the heck? But it's got problems. I took the microphone jack apart. I barely even touched it, and you can see the black wire broke off. It was attached, but yeah, as soon as I pulled it out of the socket, because the screw was missing here. That's another thing. Come on, guys. You need all the screws. You need the screw here to keep it from rotating, and that's the problem. This can jiggle back and forth, and eventually the wires break off. But yeah, it's a fairly crappy soldering job, so I'll redo that. But I think one of the big problems here, it did have some bad leaking electrolytic capacitors, but one of the big problems is bad solder joints. I see several bad solder joints just on this IC right here alone. It's got a shitload of ICs in here. There's a bunch of inlines like this one, and it has a bunch of dip package or dual inline package ones. There's one here. You can see there's one here, one over here. I think there's like 5. There's another one there. But, yeah, another one crammed under here. I think there's like 4 inlines and then 4 dip package. But yeah, so yeah, I don't even know if you can see the crack in the solder joint there or not. To focus in close enough, but yeah, some of those are clearly broken out. But yeah, it's just kind of cheesy soldering. It was fast and quick, and they charge whatever the hell they charge for these things. But yeah, so this is the beginning of the rebuild process of this thing. We're going to get this thing back up and running. So I'll continue this once I get it recapped, and we'll see if we can get this thing to spring back to life. Okay, all of the electrolytic capacitors have now been changed, and boy, are there ever a lot of them in this thing. There are about as many in this little module as there are in most CB radios, most mobile radios. I mean, they're densely packed in some areas in here. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's just 10 in this one little area right here. But yeah, they've all been replaced. reflowed a bunch of bad solder joints in there. I took the bottom cover off of it because I wanted to clean all the controls, and yeah, there's really no way to get in there. So I ended up taking the bottom cover off to try to get a straw, and I've got one. I got the end bent at 90 degrees. Was finally able to get it tucked back in there to get into all the controls, and actually had to take the faceplate off of it as well. That's why all of the knobs are off of it. Had to pull the faceplate off because this mode selector switch here, the nut was unscrewed about 1.5 turns. It was just wobbling around in there. So yeah, if you ever work on one of these, just be really careful. Try not to flex things too much, because the last thing you want to do is start breaking any of these wires off. I mean, even with a schematic, it is going to be a nightmare trying to trace out these wires and figure out what, where in the hell the damn thing came from, because there's some just soldered to the, directly to the underside of the circuit board. You can see one sticking out right there. So just use caution if you ever work on one of these. But so there it is. The interior's pretty much all done now. About anything I got to do now is put it back together, stick the knobs back, clean the faceplate up, clean the knobs, put them back on, and then rewire this mic jack that's, kind of butchered, soldered back together. So, almost done. The Palomar VC100 Voice Controller is now up and running 100%. If I'm lucky, I will never hear this thing on air. Because, like I say, I cannot stand noise toys. They're just an annoyance. And people that use them, you never have to worry about me talking to you, because I won't. I'll just find another channel where people are just using a plain old radio. But in any case, if this is your bag, hey, it's fixed. So, there's the P tone. You can change that. There's 2 switches on the back. And then you can also have a melody that plays while the microphone's keyed. Woo! Boy, doesn't that date this thing. And then there's a second one. And actually, there's a chip in there that's pre-programmed with those songs, and the company that made those it wasn't Palomar. It was the IC manufacturer. They came pre-programmed. It's not like nowadays where you can write your own software on those. I think a 16-pin dip package ICs. It's actually in a socket in this. Came pre-programmed, so if you wanted to change those melodies, you would have to hunt high and low to the deep reaches of the earth to try and find, probably if you were lucky to even find one of those other ICs. But all of the tones are going to be dated like the ones that are in this. But the echo also works. Audio. Let's see, turn the audio. 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 Oh, that's the volume, not the time. Audio. So, and then it does work. I have it also, so it has a built-in monitor speaker. That's where the monitor control here controls the volume for the speaker in the underside of it. But just to show that it does work, I have it also hooked up to a mic tester here. So if I crank that volume up, you'll hear it override the speaker, the sound you hear coming out of this. Audio. Too much volume feedback. Audio. So, and as a matter of fact, I can turn it off there. Audio. That's just coming out of just this. So there it is, model VC100 voice controller with the fancy annoying songs. So if I'm lucky, this thing will find its way to Alaska or Kalamazoo or somewhere other than Pennsylvania. The Palomar VC100 voice controller.